Welcome to today's MRI Ascend session, Innovation for Growth. My name's Josh Simon, Strategic Industry Principal at MRI Software in the APAC region. Today I have joining me Cassandra Lantry, Director of Learjet in Newcastle. Welcome, Cass.
Hi Josh, thanks for having me.
So Cass, did you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, the market you operate in, to give some context to the conversation for everyone out there?
Yeah, sure. So we operate a property management only business, and we've done that for the last 27 years. We cover Newcastle, the Hunter Valley and Lake Macquarie regions, and we look after just under 4,500 properties across those areas with a team of about just over 50 at the moment.
Yeah. Right. So 25 years in the business, which is a significant time, and Leah has built that business from the ground up, just herself at day one.
Yep.
And to get to 4,500 properties in more of a sub-regional market is no small feat. I know you guys over the last number of years have had a very strong tech strategy that supported growth. We'll obviously talk about a people piece, but what has that tech strategy been at a high level, and what has it done for your business?
Yeah, sure. I guess to give a bit of context to that, maybe it was about 5 years ago we knew that there was disruption in the industry, and we really had to rethink how we were delivering our service and what services we were actually delivering. So that's really what prompted using tech as an enabler. So it's a platform for us to be able to be more efficient, to target our teams to be able to deliver the value-adding parts of our service to our clients, and to allow us to scale. Really, it's really been about creating a scalable model that's allowed us to continue to grow and grow efficiently. So for us, part of that was obviously coming on board with Property Tree a couple of years ago now, and that was a really key move for us in actually building that platform and connecting with people that understood our vision and would enable us to continue to bring in all parts of tech and you know, whether it be AI or different other types of tech into our business to allow us to continue to grow and scale.
Yeah, sure. And you just mentioned a point there around AI. I know that we recently embarked on a journey with you guys around AI and specifically conversational AI.
Yeah.
I know, given you're a property management only business, experience is paramount for you guys.
Yeah.
You mentioned a point there about scale. Where do you see and what have you seen so far? I mean, I know it's early days around that AI piece in that leasing inquiry space.
Yeah, for us, if I'm being totally honest, it's critical for us to go forward to be able to continue to grow. I think once you reach a certain volume, leasing alone, the number of inquiries we would get in a week actually became insurmountable for us to be able to respond in a timely manner, in a meaningful way. So for example, I guess now on average, our AI piece is answering over 700 inquiries a week instantly, whereas before they were getting automated generic responses that actually didn't answer questions or help people. So it's been a bit of a game changer for us to be able to lease properties quicker, create that better experience for tenants looking for property, and ultimately be able to service our clients and continue to scale that as we grow the number of properties we have.
Yeah, sure. And obviously that's on the tenant side. You obviously see, I know we've had multiple conversations over the years about how AI can better serve your landlords.
Yeah.
And obviously a key piece and part of that is around, for example, maintenance. We know that maintenance is a labour-heavy piece of the property management business.
Yeah.
We know that obviously it's a part of the business that lets the landlord down, that lets the tenant down, that can cause lost management, which obviously results in lost asset value and income. I know we're moving in a way for you guys from a tech perspective to a platform that brings all those parties together really cohesively.
Yeah.
And do you see how do you see that kind of AI and that piece of the tech better improving the landlord outcome and the landlord experience?
I think it's pretty simple. I guess it's around responsiveness, timeliness, and also transparency. You know, I think some of the common bugbears of property managers, and where I think some of these online providers have really been able to disrupt our market is because there's been a real lack of transparency and responsiveness in all processes, but maintenance is a big one, obviously, because there's costs and time involved. So for us, it's about being able to, be more transparent and actually inform owners as things happen, and actually empowering them to be involved in their investment as much or as little as they want to be.
Yeah, sure. And I think you mentioned AI, we mentioned maintenance, but I know that you've also recently embarked, and it's kind of in the vein of AI, around data. As a property management only business, you guys have really developed some very specific and cool services for landlords out there.
Yep.
Around that investment piece, which has obviously underpinned your growth and will continue to underpin your growth. I'm talking tomorrow about data in a presentation I'm doing, but you're using real data, real insights that ultimately will tie into AI, and we can take that conversational piece from tenants to landlords ultimately. But how are you using that piece of the tech and the data today in your business?
Yeah, I guess our strategy now is really changing our focus from property management being about when you need a tenant to when you don't need a tenant. For us, it's about when you're thinking of investing right through to when you sell your last investment. Yep. And that means we need to be able to inform our owners or prospective owners or tenants about the market, about how their investment is performing in real time. You know, there's no point giving, a report that was 12 months old on what happened. They need to see current trends as they're happening. So we have an investment services team that are specialising in those conversations and advice pieces for our owners. They've had, in the last 12 months, about 1,500 conversations with our current database of clients, doing health checks on their property portfolio, helping them acquire, where to buy, all of those kinds of things. And that's really driven by the data that we have access to now to be able to help them on that journey and be able to provide that independent advice for them. So it's been a real game changer. We've been able to monetize some of those streams now through referral partners. We don't have insurance or finance in-house, but we actually have referral partners and sales agents that we refer to as well that have allowed us to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we move forward with tech, with AI, there's obviously a lot of, there is still a lot of fear, probably particularly at a property manager's level, and even still at a business owner's level. Yeah. There's fear of change. We know that there's this idea of change fatigue out there. How do you balance, or how have you managed while you've introduced what is a very significant tech stack, I would say, in your business? Yeah. And you've done it at pace. I mean, I think Property Tree was, not even 2 years ago. We're bringing in all these other cutting edge pieces right now. How do you balance that idea of wanting growth, needing tech to enable that growth, but also the people side of it? Yeah,
I guess that's a big question to answer in many ways. It's multifaceted. It's about building the right team and really driving that culture. So we've invested a lot in creating and really aligning to our values of having courage and curiosity, and building a team that trusts in technology. So the more we do it, the more they trust, and the easier these changes or systems that we bring in, it's smoother and it's more seamless because there is that trust that the technology can work for them and actually support them and help them. I think a lot of it's generally fear-based around, are things going to be missed, or am I going to lose my job? We haven't replaced one employee for tech at all. What it's allowed them to do is actually service their clients in a meaningful way, and actually supported them in taking out some of the really mundane or tiresome tasks that they do. But it really does come back to that culture, and part of it in recruiting now, when we look at it, we look beyond the industry, particularly when we're recruiting property managers. It's no longer are we really out there looking for people that have had 10 plus years property management experience. We want people that come from different industries with different skill sets, different mindsets, and really offer and bring a different approach to the business. And that helps create that innovative environment and allows a lot of different perspectives and great outcomes when everybody collaborates. So it's kind of running those things and having strong leadership teams around it as well to really support what we're trying to do in the tech space.
Yeah, sure. And I think the other really critical piece is that you guys have a very clear vision a very clear strategy. How did you kind of arrive at that? And I'm sure there were some trials and tribulations along the way, and some things that didn't maybe go right. But if we go back to the very start, how did you arrive at the strategy and know that you were on the right way, using tech to fuel growth and really get to where you are?
Yeah, I guess in some ways our strategy hasn't changed over the years. When Leah started the business, it was really about forging new paths. There was an innovative spirit, I guess, in our DNA, and that belief that owners deserved better, tenants deserved better, and people needed to be able to go further. So that's what it's all still about. Sure. I guess when we looked at it 5 years ago, it was actually, well, we need to change how we're getting there and how we're doing this for people. And if we don't embrace this disruption and change and the tech, then it's going to overtake us, and we're not going to be sustainable, and we're not going to be able to continue to do the things that we love doing. So that's how it came about. And it started with really about looking for efficiencies and how we can actually improve our margins and be more efficient and take some of that pain away for property managers. But it's really evolved now, and now we're really focused on actually how can we take some of that pain away for our owners and tenants, and how can we actually empower them to go further. So it's really driven by that belief, and all the decisions come back to that as we go through this.
Yeah, sure. And I know you really embraced the pandemic and COVID. I know that you've had quite a strong market coming out of that, and I think from my recollection it was quite stable throughout that. You made some key changes that I think many people in the industry made throughout that, specifically around things like inspection.
Yep.
And many people in the industry have also naturally gone back to the way they used to do things. You know, a property manager sitting in their car, driving around to 25 houses, doing all their open homes and leasing inquiry and things like that. You guys haven't done that. You've stuck the course to the strategy that you implemented during COVID. And how's that played out? And obviously you see that as a long-term strategy now?
Definitely. And to be honest, I'm not sure why people would go back, because what it showed us, I mean, we had dipped our toe in the water pre-COVID for FaceTime inspections for open houses and that kind of thing. One of the opportunities that came out of COVID was certainly for us to do full virtual inspections, and we invested in some technology that facilitated that. But the feedback was overwhelming from tenants, because they actually felt empowered to view properties when it suited them. You know, they weren't having to give up time from work, and particularly through COVID when jobs were critical, you couldn't travel easily. So it was a really well-received move, and I think that's when we relied on the data as well to tell us, you know, our days on market or days of lost rent went down to approximately 3.8 on average throughout that period. So owners were, suffering less vacancy and less cost to them, and tenants would be able to get into their homes quicker. So, you know, I think our vacancy we were fortunate. We had a very strong market. The industry for our area was just about around that 1%, 1.2. We sat at about 0.4 to 0.6 throughout that COVID, and we're still sub 1% today.
And that's significant on a business that's 4,500 properties.
Yeah.
And obviously scaling those processes and not going back. I mean, it's very clear that if you have the right tech strategy that's implemented in the right way, it really delivers that substantial customer experience, right? Yeah. And now, what is obviously something for tenants that is, or has been in the past, difficult, time-consuming, hard to get your head around at times, you've really streamlined from both an inspection perspective. Now you're having this conversational AI piece and layer in the middle to have those conversations so people can have that conversation. I know the data that has been shared with us both indicates that people are most active around 7 to 11 o'clock at night.
Yep.
It naturally translates to the fact that you've reduced burnout in property managers and property management businesses, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And because I guess there were some overwhelming waves that came with COVID as well in terms of inquiry and applications and the like. So I guess to put it into context, we lease approximately 100 properties a month. we were getting 1,000 applications a week. Wow. And to be able to have the resources or reallocate those resources to make sure we were still processing as quickly as possible and using systems to do that. But I also think it meant we didn't have to implement systems that were really I think degrading and disempowering to tenants.
Yeah,
you know, when you're being told you have to fill out multiple applications before you can even view a property, and you're, you know, in queues 50 people long to get through, it's a really disheartening process. Yeah. And we want to avoid that wherever possible for our tenants that we look after.
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting point, and I guess a business of your size, your scale, the fact that it's property management only would know all too well that tenants are landlords as well.
Yeah.
Have you seen those experiences that you've changed for the tenants translating into more business, into growth, into better customer satisfaction from landlords?
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the biggest areas has been our investment services arm. So that's not something that's exclusive to our owners. We offer those services to tenants as well, helping them buy their first investments or helping them get finance for their first property, etc. So it's really, opening it up. And yeah, it's alarming, well, not alarming or surprising, I guess, because we know how many tenants actually own property elsewhere, sure. But it has really highlighted that for us as well. So yeah, it's been a good experience.
That's certainly a really, really positive outcome. I would suspect that a lot of businesses haven't had the chance to sit back and take stock and understand how that is all connected.
Yeah.
And how that drives growth and all of those type of things. Where do you see this going from here? I know we've had some pretty great conversations. I know you guys. While you're at the cutting edge of technology, you're not at the bleeding edge of technology.
Yep.
You're right there, and you're doing it in a well-balanced way with a strong strategy, and as you said, with strong leadership. But where do you see this going from here? What's kind of next?
What's next? Yeah, I think, and we've had conversations in the past about us, this sense that we're about 70% of where we need to be, and we still aren't delivering our service, I think, quick enough for our owners. It's not transparent enough, so there's still work for us to do there. But as far as the business goes as well, it's about continuing to create a scalable model, so that we can actually expand our core geographic areas without having to invest resources into offices and acquisition of portfolios and those kinds of costs that come with it. So it's really about building out that scalable model. And for us, I guess what investment services has shown us is there's lots of other opportunities out there. So people are now talking to us about a lot of other things. We're very passionate about affordable housing and providing accommodation for those that need it. And I think that's something that, that sector of the market has really been failed throughout COVID, and we're seeing that flow-on effect now. So, new things. We've got our eye on things like build to rent and those types of schemes that are happening to make sure we're there with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just summarising in some really strong takeaways for everyone out there really is the right tech with the right people implementing it with the right strategy and the right leaders can really, really drive growth in your property management business. Tech is no longer about operations. It's no longer about just collecting rent or managing arrears. It's about so much more, as we've spoken about today. What would be the one key takeaway you'd like for everyone out there to take away from this conversation?
I think the main thing for me is, like we've spoken about, is actually having the courage to change and also the determination to drive that change. It takes a lot. It takes a lot of grit and determination and a lot of consistent and persistent effort. But the outcomes are worth it for your team, for your clients. Definitely stick with it. And I know it's easy to go back, but yeah, resist the urge.
Yeah, it's certainly not, I've been there for that journey with you guys, and it's certainly not roses every day. No. It's certainly not conversations about the future every day. There's been many a robust conversation, but to your point, I think sticking with it is absolutely key. Because if we are to evolve as an industry, there's isolated pockets of it that really are evolving, but the industry as a whole needs to be thinking like this to remain relevant ultimately.
Yeah.
You spoke about disruption 5 years ago. I think that COVID probably has slowed to a point some of that disruption.
Yeah.
A lot of things have remained status quo, but we'll see it come back. will see the need for these plans and ideas and thoughts to be implemented, executed faster than they have before. That dramatic change we've seen through COVID is not going to stop.
No, if anything, it's probably highlighted for those entrepreneurs out there opportunities.
Yes.
So they will be looking to take advantage of that. And I agree. And I think the other thing for us is, we were always very aware of our strengths are as property managers. We know tech is important and is critical, but it's been about aligning ourselves with the right people that can align with our strategy. But if we build those solid partnerships, then that helps us get where we need to go. So that's probably been really the centerpiece for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.